Talking about and the Venom. And the Venom is a mystery novel by the English writer Agatha Christie. She herself has described this classical mystery thriller as the most difficult of her works to be done. This crime drama is the world's best selling novel with over 100 million copies sold in many languages and has been listed as the sixth best selling title, including reference works. So let's get to know the history of this psychological thriller right away. And the Venom was first published in the United Kingdom by the Collins Crime Club on 6 November 1939 in the name 10 Little Niggers after the children's counting rhyme and minstrel song, which serves as a major plot element of this book. However, due to the controversial name and figures of respectable Englishmen as moral authorities who shape society along with racial differences and subjugation, the US revised this book into an edition which was released in January 1940 with the title And Then There Were None, taken from the last five words of the song. Successive American reprints and adaptations use the title, though pocketbooks and paperbacks use the title 10 Little Indians between 1964 and 1986. UK editions continued to use the original title until 1985. Now let's explore the main characters who play an eminent role in the story. Since the story holds 10 main characters and it's difficult to remember all of their tiny details, here is a small summary for you. First on our list is Justice Wargrave. Justice Wargrave is a recently retired judge who quickly reassumes his role on the island in holding impromptu court cases after nearly every murder. He's obsessed with justice and also with death. 2. Emily Brent. A religious woman certain of her own righteous, she is convinced also of everyone else's sinfulness. Long before coming to the island, Emily Brent fired and kicked out of her house a woman named Beatrice Tyler, who in despair subsequently killed herself. Brent never consciously feels any remorse and believes that Beatrice received what she deserved. 3. Vera Clayton. Vera is a school teacher who is invited to Soldier Island as a secretary. She is very practical and careful. She fell in love with a man named Hugo while she was employed as a nanny for a young boy, Cyril Hamilton. She was in no way responsible for the small boy's death. Hugo, who knew the truth, never spoke to her ever again. Vera is plagued with this guilt for the rest of her life. 4. Philip Lombard. A very resourceful, clever, and creative man, Lombard used to be a soldier in Africa. While working in Africa, he left a group of natives to die in order to save his own life. This, in a way, is an open testimony of racial difference shown at the period of time while Agatha Christie was writing this novel. Dr. Edward Armstrong. Dr. Edward Armstrong is a successful doctor who comes to Soldier Island because he is told that Miss Owen is sick. He used to drink so much and accidentally killed an old woman while he was drunk operating on her. He is very preoccupied with maintaining his reputation and hence his success. 6. William Henry Blow. An ex police inspector who is tricked into coming into the island when he is told that he is supposed to protect Mrs. Owen's jewel from a thief. In his past, Blow, in order to gain a promotion for himself, sent an innocent man named Lander for a penal colony where he died. Bloor is practical and careful, but he has very little imagination, which is possibly a reason why he was not able to get promoted on his own merit. Next on our list is Thomas Rogers, who is a butler on the Soldier Island. He is dedicated and professional servant. He always brings the drinks and food on time and is always polite and deferential. Yet he has killed an old woman he used to work for named Jennifer Brady by not administering her medicine so he could receive the money that Mrs. Brady had left him and his wife in her will. 8. General John Gordon MacArthur. A general in World War I, he is the oldest guest on the island and is suspected of intentionally sending a Lieutenant Arthur Richmond to his death. MacArthur's guilty consciousness has always left him with a feeling that his fellow veterans know about his dark past and he separated himself from his army friends after the war ended. Soon his wife died and he's been lonely and weary since then. Once he gets to Soldier Island, he realizes that he's tired of life and the efforts it takes to live with his dark secret, and he's ready to die. Ninth on our list is Ethel Rogers. Mr. Rogers' wife cooks all the meal on the island and does the housekeeping works. However, she's anxious and tensed throughout her life period in the book. Vera notices this from the very beginning and seems to relate to her sense of guilt. Last but not the least is Isaac Morris. Morris is never actually present in the novel, but he is hired by the murderer to purchase the island under the name of Mr. Owen and find plausible ways to invite all the guests. Morris is a shady businessman who has been involved in the drug trade and convinced the daughter of one of Wargrave's friends to start taking drugs, after which she committed suicide. Murderer is able to kill Morris with poison and leaves no trace of his presence in the business dealings. Now that we know all the 10 victims, let's dive into the plot of this mystery thriller. Moving on to the much awaited plot of this book, 8 people arrive on a small isolated island off the Devon coast, each having received an unexpected personal letter from one Mr. Owens. They are met by a butler and a cook cum housekeeper, Thomas Rogers and Ethel Rogers, who inform them that their host, Ulker Norman Owen and Nancy Owen, have not yet arrived, though they have left instructions for them. A framed copy of an old rhyme hangs in every room made for the guest, and on the dining table sits 10 little figurines. After supper, a phonograph record is played. The recording accuses each visitor and Mr. and Mrs. Rogers of having committed a crime, murder, then asks if any of the prisoners at the bar wishes to offer a defense. The guests discover that none of them knows Mr. Owens, and Mr. Wargrave suggests that the name Ewan Owen is a play on unknown. Marston, the first victim, finishes his drink and promptly dies of cyanide poisoning. Dr. Armstrong, another guest, confirms that there was no cyanide on the other drinks and suggests that Marston must have dosed himself. The next morning, Mrs. Rogers is found dead in her bed, and by lunchtime, General MacArthur, the third victim, has also died from heavy blows on his head. The guests realize that the nature of the deaths correspond with the respective lines of the rhyme. The 3 of the figurines from the tables were also found missing. The guest suspects that Ewan Owen may be systematically murdering them and searches the island, but find no hiding places. Since no one else could have arrived or departed the island unassisted, they are forced to conclude that one of the 7 remaining persons must be the killer. Thus, one after the other, all of them perishes, and then there were none, as in the rhyme. At the end of this entertaining thriller, it challenges the reader and Scotland Yard officials to find this 11th and invisible guest, the murderer. The Scotland Yard officials discover that the island owner, a sleazy lawyer and a drug trafficker called Isaac Morris, had arranged the invitations and ordered the recordings. However, he had died of a barbiturated overdose on the night the guest arrived. The police reconstructs the death with the help of victims' diaries and coroner's report. They are able to eliminate several suspects due to the circumstances of their death and items being removed afterwards, but ultimately they cannot identify the killer. So, after all this, let's take a moment to think, rethink, and digest all we have just learned. A book that we must try, isn't it? So let's now end this video and rush to a source to get our hands on this intriguing book that invites us readers to hatch out of our comfort zones and take an edge of all logics and reasonings. This novel that involves righteous execution and murder of 10 people from different spheres of life is not exceptional just due to its different socioeconomic relevance, but largely due to the fact that here the victims are the killers and the killers are the victims. The killer is all of them, not just one. This book, as any other Agatha Christie books, explain each and every details and takes its readers into the Soldier Island. It portrays the post-traumatic stress of mental breakdown and unravels the guilty and paranoid feelings of each character, which later turns into outrageous violence to find the 11th uninvited guest. Thus, in a nutshell, this cognitive and enigmatic story ultimately manifests that the world is neither black nor white, but it has always been grey and will continue to be grey no matter what. Hoping to see you all very soon. This is me, Shreya Maher, signing off. Stay healthy, stay happy, and stay safe. Until then, thank you all and have a great day.